Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Cake Radio Show. I'm the CakeDive and hope you guys are doing well because today we're talking about Jacquees, these QueMixes, and how everybody been feeling about these QueMixes. So, for those who do not know who Jacquees is an R&B singer from Georgia. He is signed to Cash Money Records. He is known for his 2016 hit "Bed" and his debut album 4275 and King of R&B. He also, he followed that up with King of R&B, and he also had "Sincerely for You" in 2022. But also, more importantly, he is also known for his remixes. He had the remix to, I believe it was LMA's song "Boot Up," and that had a lot of people being like, "Oh, like he ate LMA up on her own song, da 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 da," and there was like legal trouble that occurred because of that remix. And now he's been trending on TikTok because he did a remix to Bryson Tiller's song "Ciao," and people have been talking about like, "Oh, like is he like this is not like good? Like he's chasing the beat, da 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 da. Like why won't he do like his own music?" And I feel like there's layers to this. I want to give my 2 cents. I want to give my 2 cents and thoughts on this and try to like add my thoughts to the conversation because I feel like a lot of people are kind of possibly talking about similar things. Like I've seen people talk about like, "Oh, like why won't he drop his own music, da 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 da." But I think the truth is that with we gotta really dig deep in this. So with the remixes and stuff like that, I don't think that the remixes, like doing remixes and doing freestyles and covers and stuff like that, that's not a out of the ordinary thing for an artist to do. Like in fact, a lot of artists, especially a lot of the new girls and new up and coming like artists and stuff like that who are trying to still like make their name known, still do like freestyles. They still do covers. They still do the things to get people to like have their attention. And the reason why they do is because they one because they want to, like some for most part they want to like they really like these songs and they want to put their own spin on it, but also it gives them the like quick attention that social media can like attract, and get people talking about like, "Oh, like did they eat this cover up or was this cover a little bit whack?" Like, and if people like the cover, they're hoping that the cover and how they did with the cover can transition into sales. Like they hope that it can transition into them being like, the fan or like the casual listener being like, "Oh, like well if they ate this up, like I gotta listen to their other music." So they go through the albums or their singles or whatever and then make assessments there. So that boosts up streams and then boosts up sales and all that. Um, and I mean outside of that, because sometimes that often does not translate, but that's the hope. But additionally, it does get the people talking about these artists and stuff like that. Like Chloe Bailey, for example, is an artist who has done, covers for her whole life. Like she used to do before she was really tapped and really became a huge artist. Um, Her and her sister, when they were Chloe and Halle, would do covers and stuff like that. And that was how they got noticed by Beyonce and eventually got signed to like Parkwood and Columbia through their covers. And a lot of artists still do, cover like Chloe still does covers to this day. Not obviously not to the same volume, but it's a lot of songs. She does it with a lot of songs that she personally likes, that she personally wants to perform, and and she even still does it with some of her tours. Like I think she does like her performance of like she does a cover of like 1 Minute Man by Missy Elliott when she does her tours and performances. Because I remember seeing her do that with Coachella, and I remember seeing her do clips of that, like seeing clips of her do that at her In Pieces tour when she had her debut album come out. So for a lot of these artists, like they do it because they want to, not because they have to. But they also know that it gives them attention and gives them, it gets people talking. Like and it also it helps the fans because sometimes the fans have that interest in the covers or they have their interest in the freestyles if you're a rapper and stuff like that. Like for example, Megan Thee Stallion does like freestyles. She does the Megan Mondays more recently, but it's something for the fans because before she really like popped off as Megan Thee Stallion, like she was known for her like iconic freestyles and how she is a beast when she does her freestyles. Like that is an artist who like she got her pen game is unmatched and she don't even need the pen. That's how good she is, truly. So it's not out of the ordinary for an artist to have covers or an artist to do freestyles and stuff, or like remixes of other people's songs and stuff like that. That is fairly normal in the music industry, especially nowadays. Now, when it comes to Jacquees, I feel like a lot of people were talking about like how like he does too much, and I'm inclined to agree because I looked at his YouTube channel, and it seems like nowadays, ever since he dropped his last album, I think it's called Anything for You. Yep, Anything for You. No, Sincerely for You. Oh my God, Sincerely for You was his last album. He dropped that in 2022. Um, it seems like ever since then, like he really just does like vlogs on his YouTube channel of him performing, and then the QueMixes, which are his little like remix packs of him doing remixes and covers of other people's songs. And a lot of people are, again, a lot of people have been like, oh, like why won't he release his, his own music? What's going on there? And I think that part of it is because people aren't listening to the original music like that. Like people were like, if you ask anybody about Jacquees, like I feel like the first things that they would talk about are like, if it's an original song, like his hits, like Bed, which came out in 2016 with his debut album or whatever, and then it would be like the LMA cover, the LMA QueMix, and then a few other QueMixes, and then maybe a few loosies of like what his other hits have been to this point are. Like people don't talk about Jacquees as like a artist that's really like that's been here. Like he seems like an artist that really popped off in like 2016 when like everyone was like, oh, like the music was so good, like the music was so nostalgic, take me back to 2016, and they would probably have his songs pop up on those lists for 2016 hits. But he hasn't really like jumped into like a name that people would consistently pick in the male R&B space as an artist, really. Since 2016. Like I remember like a few weeks ago when the BET Awards happened, when the Usher Legacy performance and stuff happened, and everyone was like, "Oh, like why is there so many female performers like doing songs for Usher? Like where are the male R&B pop stars?" And the biggest issue is that like y'all don't like the male R&B pop stars because they make the same music. Either they make the same music, or like the music that they make is just not courting you, or they're controversial figures because like a lot of these men don't know how to like handle themselves. Like people keep like I kept seeing people throw Chris Brown's name in the hat, and like someone who was very controversial, and even though he's still like making millions off tour and getting people and getting women to like still cut up and defend him, like he's still cutting up on his Instagram stories being like, y'all need to forget the past, da 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 da, I'm a changed man, da 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 da, but he has not shown change because he's still doing this bullshit. Anyways, with Jacquees, like I feel like he has put out music, but it feels like they've done well on charts and stuff like that, fairly, at least in my opinion. Some of I think his last album was like his weakest performing. I think it charted in like 149th or whatever on the 200 on Hot 200 charts. But he still has a fairly consistent audience who have supported him. It's just the issues that like his music sounds very consistent, sounds very much the same. He hasn't like really pushed the boundaries of like where his music could go. And with the state of male R&B stars, in which it's like you either make like a lot of them are trying to do music very similar, like Chris Brown, or they're trying to do music similar to Bryson Tiller, or they do make their own they are in their own lane with like their own music, like Duran Bernard, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, is an artist that I've seen his name thrown in the ring a lot, and I've heard his music before, and it's very different, I would say, in terms of other male R&B pop stars. The issue is just like they're still fairly niche in the space because people aren't tapping in like they probably should. And I don't know if it's because of performances or if it's because the labels aren't pushing them or like what, but the girls aren't paying attention to the male stars like that, and unless you're already like a big established name. And I think that's largely just, again, due to the quality of the music and how the music sounds, as well as labels. Now with Jacquees, again, like I feel like with the QueMixes, like for him it probably feels like it's a necessary evil. Like, oh, like people might not stream like I know like I'm still gonna want to do my original songs and stuff like that, but I also know that if I do these remixes, people are gonna pop out and people are gonna talk about me, and my name's gonna be trending and stuff like that. So maybe you'll go back to the older, like the songs that I've put out already, the original songs, and go and stream those. But again, I feel like that hasn't worked for him because I feel like a lot of people talk about these remixes and stuff more than his original music. Like there has not been a crossover yet. There hasn't been a call to action yet to really get people to stream his other songs. And it's not even to say that like, and even though I was talking about the song quality, about how like I feel that a lot of these artists sound the same. Jacquees has a voice. Like his voice really is really good. And going back to some of the songs, like I listened to "Sincerely for You," and I feel like there's a lot of good songs on the album. I think one of my favorites was "Tell Me It's Over" with like Summer Walker in Black. His name spelled six like on there. Um, so I feel like sonically he has a voice that could really break through and make him like a true mainstream like successful hit R&B artist. But I think it's just the fact that he is not pushing the boundaries of his music, that people are just kind of like, oh, okay, he's here. Um, and like if you're a fan, like you pay attention and you listen to him. But like if you're like a casual listener, like you aren't really hearing people talk about Jacquees' music until it's like the QueMixes, like these remixes and stuff like that. Like for me personally, like I wasn't like I listen to Jacquees. I don't listen to him like frequently. And I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fan, but I liked it. I like the music that I've heard from him for sure. But I have not heard, like I remember hearing when he dropped his previous album, and people talking about it the week that it came out. But I haven't heard about Jacquees since from then until like now with the TikTok trend in which people are like talking about the QueMix of Ciao, and they're like, oh, like what is going on here? Like why won't he release his own music? Like this is really bad. He's chasing the beat. Da 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 da. So there's the big issue with him like not really reaching the masses in the way that he should be, and I feel like he just has to start experimenting with his music, like start working with like try to get the label to start having him align with other bigger artists to get people to talk. Obviously, do it in tastefulness. Like don't try to do a collab with like Chris Brown because like then you gon' I feel like that will end up having you go the way of Chloe Bailey, in which it's like, oh, like people are gonna give you like they're gonna give you miss for the rest of your career because you collaborate with that man, because you're gonna turn the women who are rocking with you, who do feel a way about Chris Brown, even the men, like I feel some type of way about Chris Brown. So if Jacquees did a collab with Chris Brown, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I can rock with you anymore, brother. But like, do tasteful collabs, collab with more women. I would also say like I think he works a lot with like I think he when he collaborates with women, like it works really well. Like collaborate with a lot of these the newer girls. Go do what Ghana has done, in which Ghana has like ever since the YSL situation with Ghana and how like men started turning on Ghana because he's quote unquote snitch, even though y'all be cutting up for less. Like it's kind of crazy that they're trying to do the snitch conversation with Ghana, because I don't even think it's that serious. But Ghana has still stayed in the conversations as a rapper because he's still been putting out music. People are still putting out people are listening to his music. And he's also been doing a lot of collabs with like the girls. Like he's done collabs with Normani, he's done collabs with Lil Millie, he's done collabs with who else he's been collaborating with, but he's been shown doing like different engagements and different collabs with women, and it has built an audience, particularly of women who have been willing to at least listen to his music, or at least listen to these features and like tune in. And I feel like with Jacquees, like that could work in his favor if he went that route. But again, he has to like experiment with the music, change things up, show that you are the artist that like you want to be, and the label also needs to push him further too. Like have him perform on more stages. Like I feel like we don't really see too many Jacquees performances, and I don't know if it like he seems to be an artist that he just kind of stands and sings. But I feel like he could definitely try experimenting with different ways to make the performances more visually like impressive as well. And that's also just a male thing, like a male artist thing. Like a male artist needs to experiment and try to do things at the box, as because people don't rock with their performances like that. Like they aren't that special. Um, and like if they did a little 1-2 step, they did some sort of visual thing. Like I feel like people would be gagging because again, men in the music industry are not held to the same standard as the women in the music industry. Like the women got to be boom popping, stepping, having a good time, and to really gag these gag the audiences. But if a male artist really went that far to like really wow people, people would really rock with them. Like I think that would be the truth. So that's my thoughts on Jacquees. I need him to slow down on the remixes. I feel like he should put some more singles out. Like I think just consistently putting out some more singles. And again, going the route that I said would possibly work in his favor. But let me know what y'all think. I hope you guys enjoyed this little short episode of the Cake Radio Show. I won't, if you're listening to this on YouTube, I love you guys so much. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, comment your thoughts about Jacquees. Do you like his music? What do you think about these remixes? What do you think about the Ciao remix especially? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, I love y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in. And be sure to, follow the show, turn on notifications, and give the show a good rating because it helps. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.